Ahmed Alkholifey, the governor of the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, that is the country's central bank, joins us now down the line. Welcome back to the program, Governor. Let me start with what you're getting from the latest data. What is your sense as to what the economic recovery could look like?
Well, thank you, Yusuf. The IMF forecast, which you alluded to, has put contraction of Saudi economy at 6.8% for the overall, with a contraction of the private sector about double digit. We in SAMA remain, as I mentioned before, less pessimist, despite the fact that Q1 contracted by 1% as announced by the Statistics Authority, and the core of the lockdown was during the most of the second quarter. We believe in the resilience of the Saudi economy, particularly with the continuous support from both the fiscal and the monetary policies. The recent frequency data, which is a point of sales, have shown pickup as a result, of course, of more activities after the opening up the economy because of the pent-up demand and the front-loaded purchases of goods, particularly durables, in anticipation of the VAT hike, which took place in July 1st. So, if you put these in numbers, we see a pickup of 50% in the first 6 months relative to the 6 months in volume. In value, 12%.
Right. So you'd be looking then more at a V-shaped recovery, and what kind of economic growth are you looking to lock in by year end?
Well, I think it's too early to say a V-shape because, barring any downside risks that coming from the second wave of the virus, for example, or more negative developments in the global economy, we remain we see light at the end of the tunnel, yet we remain vigilant, to be honest.
Governor, I mean, since the coronavirus hit, you've stepped in with all kinds of liquidity support programs. Some of them are due to expire in September. What happens then? Do they get extended?
Well, we have a program of support that has 3 elements. The first one was targeting the SMEs, the deferral payments, or the funding for lending with 95% guarantee and affordable cost, and also the guarantees paid on behalf of the SMEs to the Kafala program, where we guarantee, we pay the fees for them. The earlier program, particularly the deferral of payments, was very successful, with a 70% increase on the assigned amount. And the second one was the injection, the pure injection of liquidity of also 50 billion Saudi riyal, which came later on, right after opening the economy in June 1st. The aim was to enhance the banking liquidity and enable the banks to lend more. And this has given banks more room in terms of liquidity. And the third one was the open market operation, which was commenced at the end of June, where we did not see really a strong appetite coming from the bank, given that we still have plenty of liquidity. So back to your question, whether we might extend or not, this we are still reading all the indicators, but this will depend on the real sector when it comes to the first program, particularly. With the injection of liquidity, I don't see any need right now. Go ahead.
Yeah. Allow me to just interject here and also get to your view on the ongoing banking merger bonanza, because last time you didn't really take a view, and then we had the NCB Samba deal, right, to the tune of about $16 billion. Are you at this point encouraging more M&A in this sector?
Yeah, you don't want to put it like you say encourage, but we here in SAMA, we see the M&A as a signal of dynamism in the financial sector. As a regulator, we don't see harm if the two institutions find themselves, they have the desire to merge, and they find themselves that they can add value to the sector, and we agree with that. And they add value to the economy, and that's what we saw in both mergers. The first merger, which did not take place, we agreed when they showed intention to merge, and we agreed when they showed intention to separate and end the deal. This time also we agreed when they showed intention to merge. And let's remember that still this is in the initial stage. and they are still in the process of the merger and acquisition, and it will be subject, by the way, to the approval of all the regulators, including the General Authority for Competition.
Governor, the Saudi foreign currency reserves have been front and center of much of our coverage in terms of understanding the impact of both the coronavirus and the lower oil prices. We're still at the lowest level since 2011. What is a recovery on that front likely to look like as you look to the second half of 2020 and into 2021?
Well, the level is still comfortable as we see it right now, 450 billion US dollar. With around 40 months of coverage of imports of goods and about 80% of the broad stock of money. We did not see significant changes at the end of this month with the preliminary data. Our readings, of course, what impacted this was the transfer of the 40 billion Saudi riyal to the PIF, which was a strong hit, off transfer, but it was a strong hit. What will support our reserve, as you can tell, is if there is more positive signals coming from the oil market, which we see them right now.
Governor, in terms of the developments on the new licenses front, can you give us a bit of an update? Because we look at operations of banks like Standard Chartered and Credit Suisse, potentially opening new branches. Have those been delayed?
No, Yusuf, you know that we have put our criteria to accept banks, applications of banks, about 2 years ago. And since then, we have received a number of them. Some of them have already have been granted the licenses, and we're waiting for them to operate. But because of the COVID problem, some of them have been delaying the opening and commencement of the operations. But we did not change any of these policies, and we are still opening for business, as you can tell.
Governor, it's always a privilege having you on the program. Thank you for making the time. That is the governor of the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, Ahmed Alkholifey.